here, first things first, it is time to recap Super 6 NFL Sunday. Nick, you were a field goal away from going 6 for 6. What happened?
Well, let me see what I missed. Oh, the Saints. The Saints, they get that 2-point conversion. Maybe I win that in overtime. I was wrong on that one. I was wrong on a bunch of these margins you would see. But this was this
you got
weekend.
All those winning teams.
I know, I got all the teams right except for the Saints. The Niners, I'm really upset about the way that game went. I told America I was going to win the $250,000, and I feel like I let America down in that
But you
regard.
always say that. But look,
no, but
got so many green teams.
I don't always say that, Jenna. There are certain weeks I feel really good. This was one of those weeks. I really thought I was going to do it. Saints didn't win, and then the margins were just a touch off. But it was a good weekend. I steered Candy wrong in the Monday night game, which I feel badly about. But that wasn't one of the Super 6, so I'm okay.
You're a bad guy, Jenna. That's what it comes down to.
I'm a bad guy. I was going to split the $250,000.
Creative ways to shade the Patriots, Kawhi Leonard, and of course...
Kawhi Leonard?
Of course, gives me the wrong pick.
Wait, now we're talking about Kawhi. I literally just shifted my body weight and we started talking about Kawhi.
Kawhi had a great game last night. He played.
He played.
They won.
Say no more.
He had 34 points.
Say no more.
Shading
Before the games kick off next Sunday, download the Fox Sports Super 6 app. Play for free for a chance to win $250,000 of Terry Bradshaw's money.
Coming for it next week, Terry.
The money Nick will win and split with Miss Candy. You heard it.
I didn't say split. I said I'd give him some.
Oh, that's the description. Time for us to go viral now.
0.5%.
Lamar Jackson led the Ravens to a big win yesterday in Buffalo. Baltimore hanging on to the AFC's top seed with the win. Check out Trey White. Windy day in Buffalo, so he tracked down this Ravens play sheet, and the ref stopped over to rip it out of his hand. Kenny, is tracking down a play sheet on a windy day in Buffalo the only way you can slow down Lamar?
Listen, Jenna, by any means necessary. I remember that moment in the game, and I was just thinking to myself, if I was on the field, I'd probably do the same thing.
Quickly.
Ain't nobody been able to figure out that Ravens offense. But listen, the Buffalo Bills did a good job of keeping the Ravens' run game in check. They only allowed them, I think, 118 yards on 30-something carries. So really impressed to see what they were able to do. But in the end, their offense wasn't able to make enough plays. The Ravens' defense stood up.
I thought Buffalo, you're right, actually played really well on defense against Lamar. But, man, now at Pittsburgh, at New England the next couple weeks for Buffalo. So really tough stretch of their season right now.
So 1-0 if they win in that Pittsburgh game.
I'm sorry?
Never mind.
Yeah, if they beat Pittsburgh, they'll be 1-0 in the stretch going into the New England game. I agree.
I had New England.
Oh, then 1-1 is what you meant to say. I got you. No problem.
No, they would win one and lose the other one. 1-0.
No, that's not how it works.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know. I really tried to help you, Jenna.
You did.
Hey, guys, time before you start your morning. I really tried to help you, but
I'm the worst. Having a tough morning.
Confirmed.
Moving on. The Chiefs finally beat the Patriots at Foxborough. I'm going to stop talking at 9:30. Won't talk again until tomorrow. It wasn't without controversy, though. Travis Kelce's fumble was blown dead, erasing what would likely have been a scoop and score. And on the ensuing drive, N'Keal Harry ruled out of bounds when he actually was in bounds, but the Patriots were out of challenges, so they could do nothing about it. Kenny, did the refs cost the Patriots the game?
Jenna, I hate to blame a game on the refs, but I mean, there was some egregious blown calls in there. The N'Keal Harry one should have been a touchdown. They ruled him out of bounds. There was a Phillip Dorsett pass. It should have ended up being a DPI on Kendall Fuller. I don't even think that was questionable. Belichick didn't have any more challenges at that point, but absolutely, I felt like the referees cost the Patriots an opportunity to win that game.
I totally disagree with that last part. An opportunity to win the game. They should have had a touchdown there, no question about it. And if Belichick hadn't squandered his first challenge, they would have challenged and gotten it. But even then, Kenny, they have a first and goal from the 3. You've got to be able to score there. If the scoop and score and the alleged scoop and score, I think Tyreek Hill would have gotten him. And
he had a blocker out there too.
I know, I still think he'd have gotten him. But regardless, those happened on the same drive, as Jenna said. If they would have just converted the first and goal from the 3, then it's all a moot point. They couldn't convert, so the idea that this cost them the game, no. The referees, for the first time in my adult life, some questionable calls went against New England. Now, it's not as bad as 2 tripping calls going against some fan or going for them or any of the other things we've seen this year, but it's a tough one for New England. Tough pill to swallow. I feel bad.
Well, with the importance of the calls, you would like to see the refs get it right.
I'd love to see the refs get
Jerome Boger's crew was awful in the second half yesterday.
Moving on. on. Remember when the Texans beat the Patriots pretty handily a week ago, and many had them as one of the teams to beat in the AFC? Well, yesterday they played the Broncos, and the Broncos didn't care about that momentum, jumping out to a 38-3 lead in this one. Deshaun Watson struggled all day, tossed 2 picks. Nick, how shocking was this for Houston?
So here's the thing. You play New England in 2 weeks after you have a huge divisional game against Tennessee. So the Broncos game is a game that you know could be a letdown game. The game wouldn't be shocking if the Broncos are up 10-3 at the half, right? That you just don't get going. So it's not shocking to me the Broncos were in it or win the football game. It's shocking they were up 38-3. That, to me, is an indictment on the preparation of the team leading into this week. They felt great about the New England game. They knew they have the big matchups with Tennessee coming up, and they fell the way they did. I can only put that on the coaching staff not preparing them, Canty.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And now you have to worry about them potentially losing the division to the Tennessee Titans, who are a team that nobody wants to play right now. So, I mean, very disappointing performance by the Texans. It's one of those situations where the wins and losses count the same, but they're not all equal. That was an embarrassing loss by Bill O'Brien's team.
Awful. Awful.
On to the Cleveland Browns now. They hosted the lowly Bengals for Ohio bragging rights yesterday. And while they were able to win the game, despite a pedestrian day from Baker Mayfield, who went 11 of 24 and tossed 2 picks, they seem to keep losing the PR battle. Before the game, Fox's own Jay Glazer reported that Odell Beckham has been telling opposing coaches to, quote, "Come get me." Here's Baker Mayfield talking about his star wideout.
The drama is just drama. It continues to be that on the outside. Within our walls, we know exactly what we have, and we have a good relationship where it's very straight to the point. So I'm not worried about that.
Has he ever given you the sense that he doesn't want to be here?
No, he wants to win. I've said that over and over again, and that's not going to change, and he's not going to change who he is. He's Odell, and he's proud to be who he is, and he wants to win.
Kenny, what's your reaction to what's going on right now in Cleveland?
Well, Beckham doesn't have the kind of cap hit that he has in 2019 for only 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, you're not getting essentially what you paid for. Why you sent Jabril Peppers, a first-round pick and a third-round pick, to the New York Giants. You envisioned this being an explosive offense with Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, and then, of course, Kareem Hunt. Once he's come back from suspension, he's looked really good. But that offense hasn't been explosive this year. Baker Mayfield has got more interceptions than he does touchdowns. They're the 20th ranked passing offense. So, yeah, with Odell Beckham Jr., you're not getting what you thought you would get out of him, and your offense is not as dynamic as you thought it would. So the fact that this team has issues up front with their offensive line, the fact that Beckham is still viewed as one of the game-breaking threats around the National Football League, I think that he has more value as an asset in order to bring back some pieces that could complement what you already have in place. The Cleveland Browns have skill position players, but their big guys on offense, they need an upgrade. They traded away Kevin Zeitler in order to get Olivier Vernon from the New York Giants to help out that Browns defensive front, but I don't think they recognize how important that offensive line was to Baker Mayfield's second-half success in his rookie year. So for all of those reasons, I think this is setting up for the Browns to make a move and trade Odell.
You know how certain trades we say, you look back, or even in real time, you say it's a win for both sides. Both sides got what they needed. Feels like the Giants-Browns-Beckham trade is a lose-lose. The Giants absolutely could have used Odell to try to shepherd along Daniel Jones in his rookie season, which got off to that great start and since then has gone awry. And the Browns traded for an asset they didn't need. When you're looking at the team, they had Jarvis. They had invested in the wide receivers. Now, I liked the trade in real time in large part because I thought Baker was going to be a lot better than he's been. But I think this conversation's less about the X and O's football of it and more about Odell Beckham being unhappy in a place once again. And so it should be noted, Odell, even though it seemed like he wanted out of New York, did not ask to be traded to Cleveland. I think he thought he'd go to New England, San Francisco. He ends up being traded to Cleveland. Odell reminds me a lot of Kevin Durant in this regard. They're both seekers, and they both, I know I can't call Odell one of my closest friends, but I do consider Odell a friend, and he's angsty. And like, you know what I mean? A guy thinking about what's next all the time, even when things are going really well. Where he's different than KD is that he's always, to me, and one of the things I've respected, he's been very honest about it. He hasn't hidden it. When he was asked last week, and he got criticized for it last week, but he was asked last week, you know what I mean, do you want to be a Brown? And he gave an honest answer. If he is saying to coaches, come get me, if this is, and Jay Glazer's right about just about everything he reports, it would have been, he was being honest. I don't know. Like, you know, I play other teams, it says, hey, come get me. Like, the problem for Odell, and what I don't know if this will change, unless maybe if he's on a really good team, maybe it would. If they do trade him, is he going to be really happy there? Maybe. If the team's winning and but football's too hard, and you can speak to this far better than I can, football's too hard, and the seasons are too long, and careers are too long, if you're lucky, you're not always going to be winning. You're not, only New England gets to always win, right? And so Odell's got to, I feel like, almost become more at peace whether or not the team's having success, and that's going to serve him better moving forward. But I do think the Browns have to seriously consider moving on from him because it has been a pairing that hasn't worked out.
Well, Odell has been doing a lot of losing during his pro career. I think he's only had one winning season.
Yep.
That 2016 Giants team, that was a wild card team that ended up going to Green Bay and losing to the Packers. But, I mean, in looking at Odell in this situation, he is still a special talent. I still think that there is ability there. He's still a game breaker. He's still a #1 receiver. It's just a matter of getting with a quarterback and getting with an offense where they could take advantage of everything that he has to offer. And it was clear that the Cleveland Browns early on couldn't necessarily fit Odell into what they were trying to do. Now, if you want to blame Freddie Kitchens, if you want to blame the offensive line, if you want to blame Baker Mayfield, I think all of them have to take some responsibility. But I don't look at this and say this is of Odell Beckham Jr.'s doing. I think this is more a product of the dysfunction that has gone on in Cleveland. And so when you look at their plan this offseason, I think it should absolutely be on the table to trade Odell just because they need resources to bring back assets to make this team better, to complement what they already have. If you have a #1 draft pick at the quarterback position, you might want to think about protecting that guy. That just makes sense.
And